In this episode, I've got a pair of computer speakers here. These are actually my kids' computer speakers that they've handed me and said they don't work. So, they hum a bit, but apparently produce no sound. So I'm going to hook them up and see if we get any sound out of them. So I've noticed that these things are humming. You know why they're humming? I know exactly why they're humming. Because they don't know the words. I'm going to plug them in and see if we get any sound of them. Nothing there. Okay, so I got sound out of one. Got bad control for starters. Okay, so one of these is just a speaker, so we don't need to worry about that one. I'm just going to pop this one apart. This has got the amplifier in it. Obviously there's a problem with this. One channel is humming and the other channel appears to be working. So let's just take this thing apart. These things are old. I've had these speakers for many years. Probably had these speakers like 20 years at least. But they actually aren't bad. They have half decent sound. At least they had half decent sound. As you can see, they've had a half decent sized magnet in them. Well, at least they got shielding on the magnet. Here's the little amplifier board in here. And got power transformer. It's just an IC amplifier, so it's probably, this IC is probably shot, but oh, like this, not even a real tweeter. Look at that. It makes it look like it's a tweeter. It's just a full range speaker. But first things first, we'll clean these controls up because the controls themselves are filthy. So we'll give those a shot of cleaner and see what happens. So I'm just going to use my good old Deoxit D100 with the metered output, metered pump. One shot into each side of the control. Try cleaning up that control. I'll do the same for the bass and treble and just see whether that has made any change to it, and then we'll get into the amplifier and see why one channel is not working. It could be the amplifier itself is shot, or it could be a capacitor or something else in the circuitry that's gone bad. You notice how cheap this was, right? This amplifier was just sitting in there like that, like it wasn't even being held in place. It was just stuffed in the bottom of the box there. But anyway, let's plug it in again and just see whether anything has changed now that I've cleaned the controls. So plug the external speaker in. Still bad. But I'm still only getting sound. Oh, I'm getting a little bit now. I can hear something coming out of this speaker. I think it's time to put the scope on it and see what happens. Observe what happens when I touch the IC. So I think the amplifier is probably okay. I think we got an input problem here. We don't have signal getting to the amplifier, or we have a bypass. One of the bypass caps has got a problem here. Let's just see if we can get this thing working. It's this side over here. So I'm just going to turn on the scope. Now that thing makes enough noise to wake the dead. So you're going to remove the snap-on choke coil here, just so I can lengthen my wires a bit, so that I can actually do some work on this thing. Okay, I got the scope going here. We'll just make sure first of all that we're actually getting a signal in. I can see the signal arriving into the amplifier here. I've only got one channel plugged in, the channel that feeds the speaker. As you can see, we are getting a signal from that's coming from the volume control, so the volume is turned down now. If I turn up the volume, we are getting a signal into this amplifier. So I got nothing coming out, so let's just trace through the circuitry. It's going to obviously go in first. It's going to probably go through a capacitor, coupling capacitor, into the output. We'll just check and see first of all if there's anything getting into the output. So this, it goes to here first. Yep, and that goes through a resistor over to here. That's a capacitor I'm measuring at no sound right now. This is an input cap, I think. Yeah, it doesn't look good. So I've got sound coming in here. That should be my input. I'm just going to change this little capacitor here. There's a little small bypass cap right there on the edge of the board. That's where I'm getting a lot of that noise is. That ripple is right in here. I'm just going to take that one out and take a look at it, and see whether that one is maybe causing the problem, because that's right on the input to this amplifier. It's a 47 microfarad at 16 volts. So we'll just check that with the ESR meter first of all. I think that's open. Okay. It's open completely, right? You see there's nothing. Nothing there. If I short the probes together, there it is on the cap. That cap is open. Let's just change that little capacitor. It's a, what did I say it was, 47? 47 mic at 16 volts. So we'll just change that little capacitor, and I bet you that's going to fix this little amplifier. course, a new one, if we look at a new one here, right? And then we look at this other one, it's open. So that one's bad. See the polarity here? Okay, positive is towards the front. I better clean that up. One of the armchair quarterbacks out there is going to criticize that solder if I don't clean that up a little bit. Even though it's cleaner than anything else on this board. Okay, let's see if this works. Make sure that I got music playing here. Okay, I guess I don't have music. I gotta rewind the tape. Tape's at the end. It's a short tape. Good enough. Okay, power on. I still don't hear sound. I still hear very low sound. So we must have another one that's open here, maybe another capacitor here. There's a couple more in this circuit. Let's just check a few of the other ones. I'm just going to look to see if I've got signal going in. Signal there, and I have nothing there. Okay, this one's also going to be probably bad. Sure. I guess you guys saw that signal on the scope at the corner of the screen there, but here's another one right down here. And if I wet my finger, we know that that one's also going to be open. So let me just unplug this thing, and we'll change out this other one, which is, I think it's this one right here. This one's a 2.2 at 50 volts. Again, we can check it on the ESR tester. So we'll zero it out. Open, completely open. 2.2 at 50, let's go grab one. I might be further ahead to change the same parts on the other channel. I might just do that too. But we'll get this one going first, and then I'll change the same parts on the other channel, because they're going to be just as old as this one, right? So, oops, where's my cutters? Okay, one more time. Play the tape. Power this thing up. Get the other channel going. There we go. Okay, it's working, both channels. Now, what I'm going to do, just so that I know that this thing's not going to break down again, because I just hate to hear my almost adult children whine about things. Actually, this one's an adult. This one's my 19-year-old that's whining that the computer doesn't work, the sound doesn't work on the computer. Just kind of brings the speakers over and says, fix them. So we'll change the same parts on the other channel, because just for redundancy, if one's bad, chances are the other side is going to be just as bad, if not worse. Yep, that one's also bad, as you can see. That one's open too, so we'll change that one. That's the other 2.2 at 50. What brand are these things? Acon? Yeah, Acon. Acon caps. Crap, let's put a new one in. I think the one that I'm putting in are Rubicons. A little bit better quality though, they're 105 degree that I'm using. And I'm using a, what are these ones? Oh, TPO. These ones are TPO. But this unit, you know, it's never turned off. It's one of those things that the kids just leave it running. Like they never they turn the computer off, but they never turn off the speakers. They just leave the thing run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And after a number of years, parts wear out, and that's what's going on here. But it's, you know, for the cost of 4 capacitors that I'm changing, I mean, these speakers, I don't think they were that expensive. They weren't cheap. They weren't like, you know, $10 speakers. You know, these have got a few watts behind them. I think they're probably maybe 10 watts per channel, but they probably were, you know, $40 or $50 for the speakers when I bought them years and years ago. You know, so they weren't dirt cheap ones, but you know, they've lasted. They certainly don't owe me anything, that's for sure. So we'll do the other one down here as well. And then I'm going to put some more cleaner in those controls, because I don't think I got quite enough into that volume control. And here's the one on the channel that works, but I bet you it's pretty much open too. Yeah, about 12 ohms. Let's see. Look at this one here. 13 ohms. It's a 47 microfarad. So it's on its way. 47 at 16. So it's on its way, because 47 at 16 should be about 1.6, and it's coming up at like 11 ohms. So it's bad. This one's a Rubicon. That's usually the brand of caps I try to buy. Is Rubicon. They make some pretty good ones. Okay, power it up, test it again. Actually, the volume control's not bad now. It's not making noise. I think we're okay. I'm going to put this back together and then we'll give it another test here. Put this, I'll wind this toroid back on there again. This is just to cancel out any RF and stuff that might get into this thing and cause noise. So they basically just wrapped one turn around all the wires. So that's how these things go on, is you pull your wires through here. This is just to choke off any RF. Pull a turn through like that, and then you put the top half together and snap it shut. That's a snap-on choke. Now we can take this little board and shove it back in the bottom like they had it. I mean, it's like, again, it was just stuffed in here with all this insulation that was wadded around it to keep it from shorting out against anything. That's how it was in there, just like that. Nothing real fancy. Of course, you guys probably noticed that this thing had a real transformer in it, not a switching power supply, a real proper linear supply in here. It's probably one of the reasons why it's lasted for as long as it has, is that it's not a very complicated design, everything all in one IC, but as you saw, four caps went bad in it. The other ones probably are getting weak too, but you know what? They sound okay. There we go. That's it. 4 caps. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. I got some interesting devices to show you real soon. I'll give you a preview of a few pieces I got in, just so you know what's coming up. I have a proc amp that needs some work. I have a frame store, and I have a real professional Panasonic AG DS850 that was beat up in transport. We'll see whether we can make anything happen with that. We'll catch you later. Bye for now.